Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. This morning, we're going to talk about how to achieve a high level of invoice automation by combining traditional rule-based automation and artificial intelligence. I am very happy to see that there are so many of you on the lines this morning. Very, very happy about that. My name is Tuomas Haapsaari. I am head of growth in Snowfox.AI. Snowfox.AI basically is an artificial intelligence company. We are developing AI for invoice automation and then calculating real-time CO2 emissions from the invoice data. And with me is Tommi Kouhi from OpusCapita. Please, Tommi. Maybe you are muted, Tommi, because I cannot hear you right now.
Sorry, okay, yeah. So, good morning, everyone. So, my name is Tommi Kouhi, and I'm the product manager for OpusCapita Invoice Automation product. And I have been working in OpusCapita over 20 years, and mainly within the invoice automation things. And I'm located in Tampere in Finland.
So, as you can hear, Tommi is a real invoice automation professional, and I am very happy to share this webinar with Tommi. He is a really, really good guy instead of only being an expert. Please send us questions during the webinar. I'm going to take your questions and we're going to answer them real time during this webinar. So please use the question box and then send your questions to us and we will reply and comment on those. About the agenda of this morning. We're going to first talk about a little bit of the current state of invoice automation. And then we're going to tell you how to achieve high level of invoice automation within OpusCapita solutions. And then we will dig a little bit deeper to increasing role of artificial intelligence in invoice automation. And then we're going to tell you how to connect AI with OpusCapita solutions. And then in the end, we are going to let you know how you can actually validate AI capabilities within your invoices for free. So actually, we have a lot of slides, so please pay attention. Slides are flowing very quickly, and we're changing slides all the time, so pay attention, please, so you don't drop out. But please ask questions, comment, challenge us, anything. We are happy to have you answer your questions in the webinar. So first, why are we actually talking about the invoice automation this morning? The real fact is that actually the invoice automation level is surprisingly low nowadays. So companies are really struggling with the invoice automation. If you would have 100% automation, you would not be in this webinar this morning. So we have actually a lot to do with invoice automation today.
And there are several different reasons why the invoice automation is not on the high level. And if we start from the beginning, so if the invoice quality is not good enough, so it's not possible to automate the process. But if the quality is there, if you have correct tools, and if you have this AI thing there, then you have all the capabilities to automate your process.
Yeah, that is actually very true, Tommi. And when we both are meeting different companies and actually mapping their situations regarding invoice automation, we actually have found out that specifically the non-PO invoices, like non-purchase order invoices, are being posted and routed for approval flow mostly manually. Typically, the automation level is between 10 to 30%. And most of the invoices, 70 to even 90% of all the invoices are being posted and routed manually, which is, I don't know, quite amazing. We are living in 2022. And Tommi, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the costs for manually handled invoices. It's quite expensive to do it manually.
Yeah, it is. It is quite expensive, and this is, let's say that those numbers on the slide, those are quite low, because if you have, if you don't have any system there in use, any electronic system, then you have also to post the paper invoices to the different locations, and then it will take time and it will cost money. So this is quite a low price for the manually handled invoices. So in some calculations, I have seen that it's even from, let's say, from 5 to 60 euros per invoice, but it is costly.
Yes, it is very, very costly and causes a lot of headache. But when we talk to our clients, the money is just one of the problems. It's not the only reason why companies are automating their purchase invoice process. We listed a couple of other reasons. For example, longer circulation times. The more manual work, the more people involved in the process, the longer it takes to handle those invoices, of course. And in that sense, you are actually missing payment term discounts because you are not able to handle those invoices quick enough and to get them paid. And when there are people doing the postings manually, you can imagine if, for example, the business is responsible for the posting work in your company, it means lower posting quality because people are not like robots or AI that are doing the same every day. But you know, the posting variety is quite huge, I would say. And that leads to poor reporting quality. If the posting quality is not good, the reporting quality is not good either. And of course, manual work leads to a lot of headache and problems in the process. Do you have something to add, Tommi?
Yeah, maybe one thing also here, that if you can automate the whole process, even the review and approval, then there's no sense to go to any product and approve and review the invoice, kind of recurring invoices, for example. There's no sense. So you can then concentrate the other tasks you have on your table.
Yeah, and what we have actually seen as well, that if, for example, the accounts payable team is only doing the manual labor, like a, you know, very repeated work every day, they have no time to develop finance function because they are just doing the repeating work. So there is no room for development or anything. So you're just doing the same thing every day. So automating the process will actually give you some more time on stopping and thinking and developing and moving forward.
Exactly.
So the question is for you, my friend online, that how automated is your purchase to pay process? If you think about your invoices, how many invoices you are receiving, for example, annually, what percentage of those invoices you are able to have automatically posted today? What percentage of invoices you are posting manually today? How about routing for approval process? Are you sending those invoices manually to the process, or are they being sent automatically today? Maybe think about it, and I would suggest you even to write down your figures, volumes, automation levels, you know, the percentage of manually handled invoices. And even if you can calculate that, how much does it cost for you to process those invoices? So you might, you know, be surprised. I know I have seen the list of webinar attendees, so you are a real professional, so you might know these numbers already. But just a question, how automated is your purchase to pay process? And because we know that it's not 100% automated, so the next question is that what kind of problems is lack of automation causing you every day? So maybe you want to list down those as well. And next, we are going to talk about how to achieve a high level of invoice automation with modern technology. And first, we're going to talk about OpusCapita solutions, as mentioned in the agenda. So how can you achieve a high level of automation with the rule-based automation capabilities? So please, Tommi.
Yes, so refine your invoice date after which the automation does work for you. So this is the idea when you have the rule-based automation there. And the next slide, I picked up a couple of examples for different kind of things we can automate within the OpusCapita invoice automation product. And now here the first example is that you have the contracts in your solution, but the supplier is not able to put the contract number in the correct field on the invoice. So this example shows that within the kind of the invoice manipulation rule, you can copy the different values from different fields to the other fields. And the first example is here that now the supplier is able to put the contract number in the customer reference field, but not in the contract number field. And now within these conditions, we can copy the customer reference to the correct field, to the contract number field, so that then the customer can automate the contract matching process when the data is in the correct places. The example 2 here is that now the customer is doing the contract matching, but the order number does not exist on the invoice, or it exists on the invoice but in the wrong field. So now within the this example 2 rule, we can copy the buyer reference number from that field to the contract number field if the order number does not exist on the invoice at all, and if the buyer reference starts with P09, which is the purchase order number serial within the customer. Then there's also in the right side, there's a couple of examples that what we can do with the manipulation rules. We can copy fields, we can add labels for the later usage, we can clear values there, we can also copy, for example, indexed subfields so that the supplier is able to put the GL account and the contract number and the purchase order number in the same field, divided by the slash, for example. And then we can say that, okay, now from the first index, the value is the GL account, and then from the other field, the value is the contract number, for example. But we can go to the next slide, and this is one example that you can use almost every data on the invoice. So now in this example, the first example here is that based on the invoice line items, you can automate approval flow in this case, and also the setting the GL account, the default value for the GL account. So now the first example is that if the article on the line item level contains software license or SaaS fee, then we can automate the approval flow so that we can define the IT group automatically as an approval group. And then behind the IT group, you can define that who are the IT group reviewers and who are the IT group approvers. Then also within this rule, we can set the value 4,000 to the GL account automatically if the line item contains one of those values. Second example, if you have let's say in one case, if you have several companies in your group, and you can also build the company hierarchies within the IPA product, and then you can create kind of trivial rules there. And this second example here is that if you are using the same VAT codes for each and every company, then on the top level, you can create just one rule per VAT code, and then inherit the rule for all of the companies there. You can, of course, if you have a separate VAT code for each company, then you can have a rule per company there. But this example defines automatically the VAT code on the posting line, and the VAT code value will be 24G if the VAT percent on the line item level is 24. And on the right side, there's also that within this rule category, you can define the invoice approval flow either on the header level or on the line item level, and then you can also define within the same rules that you can define the posting automation rules. Good. Then header level matching. You can do also the matching against any matching item data. Usually those are the purchase orders or the purchase orders and the goods receipts from the ERP or from the e-procurement solution. And now this is only one example here, so that the condition here is the digitized. So if you are not digitizing, or if your receiving provider is not providing the invoice line items at all, then you can do, for those invoices, you can do the header level matching. And quite often also for the digitized invoices, the line item level data is not on that level that there's no sense to do the line item level matching. But in this example, we are doing the header level matching. We are fetching all the open matching item based on the purchase order number. We are calculating the sum of the net amount there, and then we are comparing it against the invoice net amount. And then you can define the tolerances that in which tolerance the invoice needs to be there, so that you can automatically match the invoice. And then also the actions if the invoice is not in tolerance, and it will go to the manual matching state. Then the next example is about the line item level matching. So now again in the condition there is that we are doing the line item level matching only for the e-invoices. Of course, you can add whatever conditions you want to add there. For example, for the tolerances here, now I have defined for the unit price, for example, it needs to be, if you compare the unit price on the invoice against the unit price on the purchase order, then it needs to be in those tolerances minus 4% plus 2%, and in the euro value in this case minus 4 euro and plus 2 euro. And then you can also have other tolerances for certain supplier set here. But this is just one example that how you define the line item level matching rule. Good. Then the one option more to automate the invoice process is the contract matching. The first, on the left side, there is the contract. So based on the supplier and the contract number on the invoice, we link the invoice to the contract if the contract is found. Then there is two different types of contracts in IPA. One is the recurring based contract and one is the budget based contracts. And within the recurring invoices, you can define that what is the maximum amount of the recurring invoice and what is the minimum amount of the recurring invoice. And then you can also set the frequency, how often the invoices will be arrived against this contract. The budget-based contract is similar, but then there is also the budget there. And when there is an incoming invoice against the budget-based contract, then it will reduce the budget on the contract. And when the budget is zero or it is used totally, then the invoices will be linked to the contract, but those will be not handled automatically in the system. Then the approval flow, you can define the approval flow also on the contract, and then also the contract can be sent to the approval, so that then the mark matcher will get the contract for review. Sorry, in the inspector will get the contract for review, and mark matcher will get the contract for approval. And if they now reviewed and approve the contract, and when the incoming invoice is within the tolerances defined on the contract or on the budget-based contract, then the invoice will get the automatic review and automatic approval by the users. So there's no any manual actions needed from those users. Also, the postings will be copied from the contract to the incoming invoices. Good.
Yeah, so lots of opportunities in rule-based automation as well. So lots of opportunities to use. Thanks, Tommi. Next, we're going to talk about how to increase invoice automation with artificial intelligence. So first of all, what are the capabilities of artificial intelligence in invoice automation? So actually AI is capable of doing quite similar work comparing to the traditional rule-based automation. but there are also a little bit differences. Let's dig deeper to that. But first of all, AI is capable of doing the automatic posting and routing for approval flow. Then we have some data fetching capabilities as well. So we are able to read invoice images and fetch some missing information from the invoice images. And then actually the newest innovation of Snowfox.AI is this real-time CO2 calculation. So today we're not going to talk about that more than this, but we are going to organize a new webinar regarding this real-time CO2 calculation. So basically the same AI engine actually does the CO2 calculations from the invoice data as well. And then based on everything in the core of AI is real-time analytics tool. So I'm going to show you a little bit how it looks, but the real-time analytics tool tells you exactly how well the AI is performing. How is it developing, getting better all the time? So everything is very visibly shown. You know the automation levels very well. Couple of key points about AI. So first of all, the AI technology is self-learning technology. So AI actually learns all those automation rules automatically from the invoice data. I will let you know how does it work, how does it learn and build those rules automatically. But it's actually very easy to use because you don't have to create any automation rules, but AI does it for yourself. And I dare to say that AI is the fastest and the easiest way of increasing invoice automation. It takes just a few weeks and your automation level will increase up to 80–90%, even 95%. And the logic is that AI only automates those invoices that are not yet automated within OpusCapita. So AI only is touching manually handled invoices. So it's only increasing your invoice automation, not competing against rule-based automation. All the rules you have been creating, you can still use. But then AI can automate those invoices that you are today handling manually, posting manually, routing for approval flow manually. And then I think the best thing of our AI solution is that you only pay for the correctly posted or routed invoices. So if AI is making a mistake, you are not paying for that at all. So it's really helping you increase your automation, and the increased automation is the thing you are paying for. But please send questions if you have any doubts or anything in your mind. Let's go through how does the AI actually learn, how does it develop, how does it work. So basically, AI loves data. So when you implement AI in use, first we will actually give it some historic invoices and historic postings. Typically, we will give AI from 3 months to 6 months of historic invoices with the postings and reviewer and approver data. And AI will actually start to go through all those invoices. And what it does, it will first have a look at the invoice itself, invoice image, and then the digitized format. And then AI will go through that, okay, what has been purchased, from who, amounts, are there any reference codes, any like person names, addresses, all the information that is in the invoice, AI will go through and memorize it. Then the AI will have a look at the postings. How was this invoice being posted? What was the GL account, cost center, VAT, if you have project, whatever dimensions you are using, AI will have a look at those and memorize those as well. And then the AI will have a look at the reviewer and approver, who reviewed this invoice, who approved this invoice, and memorize that as well. And then it will go to the next invoice, go through the invoice itself, the posting data, reviewer data, approver data, memorize that, and go through every single invoice from, for example, the 6 months of historic data, and memorize all that. And then when you can imagine that AI has gone through all that data, it will kind of start to create those logics and those automation rules automatically based on the historic data. So why this invoice was posted with this GL account, this cost center, this VAT code, why this person is reviewing this kind of invoices, why this person is approving this kind of invoices. It is starting to understand, it will start to understand the logics of why invoices are being posted and routed the way they are. And it will start to understand those logic and create that, okay, when you are buying this kind of goods, this kind of services from this provider to this address, blah, 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 it's being posted like this. And this person has been reviewing those invoices and so on. So it will create very complicated automation rules, basically, based on the historic data, and understand the way that how in your company invoices are being posted and routed and so on. And how do you kind of, if you compare OCR solution to this AI, OCR is that, okay, it will read the invoice image and then extract data from the invoice image. And this AI, actually, we can also extract data from the invoice image, but AI actually predicts values and information that does not exist in the invoice data. For example, GL account. So AI is able to predict the correct GL account even though there is no GL account information in the invoice. But based on all the other data in the invoice, AI calculates and predicts that, okay, based on what has been purchased and all the information, this should be the correct GL account. So AI is first trained with the historic data. When it's ready, we just connect the AI model to, if you are using OpusCapita, so we connect it to the OpusCapita solution. When you receive new invoice, the AI will go through the invoice itself, all the data, and then start to calculate, okay, how should I post this invoice? What is the most probable GL account for this invoice? Most probable cost center, VAT, whatever dimensions you are using. AI will calculate those values. And then AI will calculate also the reviewer, approver of the invoice. And then AI will suggest that, okay, this is how I would post this invoice. This is how I would, this is the workflow I propose. And when AI is calculating those values based on the data of the invoice and the historic data, it will also indicate that how sure or unsure AI is regarding the predictions, regarding the postings, regarding the workflow. Why? Because AI is not 100% correct all the time. It can, for example, automate 9 invoices out of 10 for you. And maybe your first question is that, okay, 9 are correct, but what is the one invoice where AI made a mistake? And when AI indicates that, okay, with this invoice GL account, I am not very sure about this, I'm actually quite unsure. So you can actually point those invoices in the process and see that, okay, somebody will have a look at it and make sure that AI made a correct prediction. If AI made a mistake, someone in the process will, some person in the process will change the value. If AI, for example, predicted wrong cost center, so AI also indicates that, okay, I'm not so sure about the cost center, someone will have a look at it and change it and correct it to the right one. So you will receive an invoice, AI will predict the posting and routing, and actually OpusCapita can send the invoices automatically to the approval flow. After the approval flow, somebody has reviewed, approved the invoice, it is ready to be booked and paid. We will actually receive the final postings from OpusCapita back to our AI as a feedback loop. That, okay, AI made this kind of proposal for the posting, for the workflow, and then after the process, these are the final values. So AI will actually get a feedback that, okay, did I make all the predictions correctly? Was all the posting values correctly predicted, or did I make a mistake? If AI made a mistake, it learns from those mistakes automatically. And if AI was correct, it is just getting more sure and getting better still all the time. Learn from the data automatically. And this process you can actually measure and see real time in our analytics tool. So you can see how many invoices AI has been posting, routing, and how well AI has been performing. So everything is real time and you can validate yourself. I have a question actually here, which it says that, okay, so you mean that AI is actually capable of predicting posting and routing even for the new supplier if this product has been purchased from another supplier before, but we have just new supplier? Yes, that is actually the truth, because AI is using all the information from the invoice, not just the supplier name or supplier information, but all the line items as well. So if you are, for example, buying, let's say, computers or IT for your staff for some supplier, and you change the supplier, you will get same kind of invoices, but from the new supplier. And yes, AI actually still understand that this is a laptop or a phone or something what you have purchased. Supplier is new, but it doesn't matter. AI can still predict the postings. So yes, it uses all the information. This is actually one of our clients, Versowood, and they said that the implementation of Snowfox.AI has significantly increased our invoice automation. And it has been great to witness that AI can handle even the most challenging purchase invoices, postings, and routings. Yes, I wanted to show you this because AI is actually quite new technology for many of the companies. And there are still some doubts that can AI really work and do the postings correctly? Yes, it can. How do Snowfox.AI actually connect with OpusCapita solutions? So first of all, when your supplier sends you an invoice, number one, it will go through your invoice operator or scanning operator, and then they are being transferred to OpusCapita solutions. And then OpusCapita will first check if there is some automation in place already for this invoice. Like Tommi mentioned, there are lots of capabilities you can use. If this invoice does not have any automation in place, so you would have to post it or route it manually, the invoices will be sent to Snowfox.AI. And then Snowfox will predict the posting, the workflow, approval flow, and then send it back to OpusCapita. This actually takes like a couple of seconds only, so you don't see it. It doesn't take any long. And then OpusCapita will utilize Snowfox postings and routings and can send it automatically to the approval flow. And then, like mentioned, after the approval flow, when the invoice has been approved and it is ready to be booked and paid, we will actually get the final posting data, final approval flow data back to the AI as a feedback loop. And then AI will learn if there were any mistakes. AI will learn from those mistakes. If there was not mistakes, AI is happy and it's still getting more and more sure about the predictions. And then all the data will be sent to the real-time reporting, where you can actually analyze the process real-time and see how well the AI has been working. So what actually AI does is that it actually helps you to move out from the factory work to do the same work, the postings, same invoices you're posting manually every day, routing to the approval flow. Actually, you will go, out of the factory line, more to the control kind of role that you actually are just controlling the process and seeing how well the AI is actually doing the work. And if there is, some uncertainty in place where AI is not sure, then someone will go back to the factory work and help AI do the postings or maybe correct something, and then AI learns. Tommi.
Good. This is I would say the same process here, but from the OpusCapita IPA point of view. So this is the workflow you can define freely in your OpusCapita setup, and this is just one example for the non-PO invoice process. And when the invoice comes from the left side in the system, then we try to find the supplier there, and then the next step is the pre-handling. And now in this example, there is a progress condition, so that what needs to be done in the invoices in the pre-handling phase before those can go further to the review phase. And now in this example, the progress condition is that the cost center needs to be there, GL account needs to be there, and also reviewer and approver needs to be defined. And if those are now defined automatically by the rules or by the contract matching, then those invoices will go further. Those will not stop in the pre-handling state, but those will go further in the process. But if those conditions are not met, then we are sending the invoices to Snowfox for prediction. And then from Snowfox with the feedback interface, we can get the predictions on the invoice. We can have the GL account, code center, VAT codes, or in this case also the reviewer and the approver are needed. And then invoice will go automatically to the next state. And then like Tuomas said, so then the users can do the changes to the invoices, and if they have changed the GL account, for example, then from the last box in the workflow, now in the workflow completed state, we are sending the training data to Snowfox. And we are not sending the training data only for those predicted invoices. We are sending all the invoices to Snowfox for the training purposes of the algorithm. So that is the kind of how it looks like in IPA side, the process, and what actions are done during the process.
Yes, we actually have a really good question from someone that does AI learn only inside one company, or does it aggregate data from all clients? Actually, we build independent AI models for every single client of ours. There are a couple of reasons. One is data privacy reasons. And then another reason is that every single company has their unique way of handling invoices, their unique chart of accounts, dimensions they are using. All the companies have different dimensions set up in use, and so on. So every single client has a single unique AI model, and we are not mixing the data between different clients at all. So really, really good questions. Thanks for that, and please send us some more. Then, Tommi, about how do the predictions are shown in OpusCapita?
Yeah. Here's an example for one predicted invoice, and the posting is there on the top of the image. So now the Snowfox has predicted the GL account to be 4,000, and then we have own column there also that where the prediction percentage will be shown. And for example, now you can define that if the prediction percentage is not more than let's say 80%, then you will not assign the GL account automatically to the invoice. So in that case, you can easily see that what is the probability for the GL account and what is the predicted GL account. But you can define it so that it is not defined as a GL account, so that someone needs to go through the invoice and see that, okay, now the proposal is 4,000, but I will pick up 4,001 account there.
Yeah,
so
and
that's
this is
also the one.
Yeah, this is very good. I really love this feature in OpusCapita that you have these two boxes next to each other, where you can see that, okay, if AI is not sure enough about the prediction, for example, for the GL account, you can leave the GL account empty on the left side, but you can still see on the right side what was actually the suggestion of the AI, 4,000, and what was the probability, or we call it as confidence value, how confident AI was regarding this GL account. If AI was not sure, not confident, then we leave it empty and have someone to fill it manually. So
Yes.
you will not kind of get the wrong predictions and just have it go through the process and nobody pays attention. So we don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And then also if there is some, let's say the TL account set by the rule already now, and we are sending it to the Snowfox, then Snowfox will not change the TL account. So that's
Exactly.
also how the process works. And then you can also see the audit trail messages that when the feedback was sent from the Snowfox to OpusCapita site, so you can see the assignees there in different roles, and you can see the posting changes and also the message in the prediction feedback message.
Yes.
Good.
All right, and then couple of screenshots from the analytics tool of Snowfox.AI. So on the left top corner, you will see those green and red bars. And these are actually the dimensions that AI has predicted, and green ones are correctly predicted dimension values, and the red ones are wrong, as you can see. So you can see percentages in there, how good AI is performing and where are the mistakes. And then below that, there's this workflow routing statistics. So we have selected 3 months, and you can see the curve, how AI is actually improving and learning from those mistakes. And you can actually see the same kind of curves for every single dimension, of course. For example, GL account, you will see in real time that how well the AI has been learning from the mistakes and so on. And then on the right bottom corner, you can see the data invoice by invoice. So you can see 3 invoices listed below, where is some basic invoice data first, and then dimensions listed below. So you can see those dimensions: industry, GL account, service, cost center, and area. And then on the right side, you see prediction. So what value AI predicted for this dimension? For example, industry, this YLE. And then on the right side, the actual value. What was the value after the approval process, approval flow? It is actually in this case YLE as well. So the status on the right side is green, correct. And then you see the first mistake, cost center. AI predicted 1999 and somebody changed it in the process to 1111, which is the correct cost center for this invoice. So you can see it was wrongly predicted. AI made a mistake, and actually AI is learning from this mistake as well. But everything you can see visibly in the analytics tool, that how AI is performing. We have some questions coming in. So first question is that, can you set a rule in IPA based on the predicted percentage if the value is under preferred percentage?
In this case, if we are having the predicted value and the percentage in the same column, then it's quite difficult. But of course, we can utilize some other, because we can freely add new dimensions there in the IPA side, and those can be shown or hidden. And then on those fields we can have it so that, or then we can also use the labels, because within the feedback interface we can add also the labels there. So that if now the Snowfox is saying that now the GL account prediction is not on good level, then they can raise the label there, GL accounts, or check GL account, for example, or some other label. I think
Yes.
the better way is to utilize the labels.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Another good question is that, is there a probability that AI will learn wrongly and develop wrong workflow? Can it be changed manually? Yes, that is a good question. AI can be trained manually as well. We can manipulate the historic data if needed and so on. So yes, everything can be manipulated, and AI can be trained manually as well if it has learned for some reason the wrong way. Yes. Please, we have a couple of minutes still, so send us questions if you have any questions in mind right now. But the basic idea is, okay, there are automation capabilities within OpusCapita itself, but if you kind of make a research and map that, do you still have some invoices you are posting or routing for approval flow manually? You can take AI and increase your automation in few weeks. And the question is, would you like to know how much could your company benefit from AI and how well AI could actually increase your invoice automation? We can actually do the free trial for you, and we can actually show you with your data that how well AI would perform in your company. And all we need for that is from 3 to 12 months of historic invoices with related posting data and actually the approval flow data. And with that data, we take actually 70% of that data to train a real AI model for you. AI will go through all those invoices, the postings, the approval flow, all that data, and create those automation logics for your company. And then the 30%, the rest, we will take those invoices, only the invoices, not the postings or approval flow data, but only the invoices, and give it to AI. Okay, calculate and predict postings for these invoices and approval flow, reviewer approvers for these invoices. And AI does it. AI predicts postings and approval flow for those invoices, and then we compare AI postings with the original postings we got from you. And we actually compare them invoice by invoice, dimension by dimension, that how well the AI would have been able to automatically post and route your invoices. And we do that for free to make sure that we understand and you know that how well could AI work for your company. And as actually mentioned before, we only charge for those invoices we are able to predict, do the postings or routing correctly. So we will actually give you the offer at the same time. We tell you how much we can increase your automation, and then we tell this is the price, how much would it cost? And then you can decide yourself that is it a good thing for you, and does it look like a good math for you? And we don't charge anything for that. We have a few more questions. I will, Tommi, take those questions and let's answer those. So first question is that how do you advise to automate the invoices that are not predicted by AI? These are the most complicated ones with a lot of dimension and costs to be split to many posting lines. Good question. AI, actually, we have actually analyzed some of our clients' data. Of course, we are analyzing all of it, but the multiple posting line predictions. And if there are some recurrence for those invoices, we are able to even post 10 different posting lines correctly. The more posting lines there are, just like you mentioned, they are the more complicated invoices, but AI is also learning the multiple posting line predictions. But do you have, Tommi, some super way of automating those if even AI is not capable of doing?
No, in EPA side, it's only the rule-based automation on that case, but we can do also the invoice line item level postings there and utilize the invoice line item level information like I showed. And of course, when we are sending the data to the Snowfox, we are also sending the invoice line items there. So the data exists there.
Yes. Another question is that can you give an indication about price per booking? Yes, I can. And actually, we calculate the price during the trial as well, because it is based on the data. So every client has different set of dimensions, different kind of invoices, and so on. So there is a little bit of variety between pricing. But if you think about the manual processing costs, 6 to 10, 15, even 20 euros per invoice. So if AI is automating those invoices, it is just like some tens of euro cents per correctly predicted invoice. So it's many times cheaper than the manual process. So, but we are happy to provide you with the free trial so we can actually validate that how well would AI work for you, and then indicate or actually give you very specific pricing calculation as well. And it is very easy for you. Just give us your historic invoices, postings, and we will do the work and then report you the results. Another question, does this work with project invoices where the same supplier invoices the same customer for different project? Yes, we have many ways of doing this. First answer is that let's conduct the trial so we can actually, we have data. So if you just do the trial with us, let's see how well AI can predict your projects. But yes, we have different ways. If you have like short projects, they are starting and ending all the time. There's not too much historic data between with those projects. Then we have a couple of ways. One way is that we actually extract the project number from the invoice image. When we extract, for example, the project number, we can look for the project number from every single field from the invoice. So it doesn't have to be in the right field, but we can try to look for it from anywhere in the invoice. That is one thing. And then with some clients, we have actually connected our solution with their ERP as well. So we know when they have a new project starting and projects ending. So we actually get some supportive data from their ERP as well regarding the projects. But yes, we have different ways of automating the project value as well. Do you have some other good questions? If you have, please just let us know. But I will I think it's a really good thing. If you have some invoices that you are routing manually, let's do the free trial and see how well AI could help you increase your automation, and then you will get the price as well. So then it's just mathematics. Tommi, how to get started with invoice automation?
Yes, the last slide from my side. So if you're now interested in OpusCapita and what we can offer for the invoice automation, so you can go to our website or you can contact directly to our sales. And also, if you are now already using OpusCapita invoice automation product, so then you can just create a change request from our customer service portal. And now I didn't put any prices there, but now because we need to, if you want to have the trial data, we need to export, build the data export integration there, and then do the export. Now at this time, the fixed price for the trial data exported from OpusCapita within the selected companies is 595 euros. So that's the fixed price at the moment.
Yes. Good. Thank you, Tommi. And if you are interested in conducting the free trial, so you can contact OpusCapita, just like mentioned, or you can contact me. I will send you an email with the recording of this webinar, so you will get my contact information as well, so you can contact me. And if you have any questions, you want to talk about this or your current situation or your challenges, whatever, feel free to contact us. We are happy to help. It does not, you don't have to commit to anything. We are happy to help and talk. So hopefully you got some new valuable information regarding invoice automation, regarding artificial intelligence. Hope it was worth it. Thank you, Tommi, very much for your expertise.
Thank you, Tuomas. Thank you.
And let's be in touch. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah. See you. Bye.